Morning, colleagues. The name is Anil Menon. Already had the pleasure of getting introduced to one colleague here. Before I start, let me tell you what we are going to do today is valuation of companies, which is basically a very simple technique. But before I get started, I'd like to know what is it that you all are expecting from the course so that I can customize it. Can I start with you, Vishwanath sir?
Hi, I'm Vishwanath. I am from Infotech Enterprises, Hyderabad. I work with the president of the company, understanding the strategic initiatives and predominantly mergers and acquisitions, evaluating certain companies. My objective here is, and my brief background about on me is, I have around 8 years of experience with outsourcing industry. I'm a computer science engineer by profession. I have a master's degree from Indian School of Business in marketing and strategy. But my fundamental objective being here is to hone my aspects on financial management and valuation, which I did some time ago in ISB. And B is to actually have a sound grounding on how to evaluate a company, because I find it very essential in my day-to-day activities.
Fine, sure.
Hi, I'm Sanjay Kotia, chef restaurateur of I own a couple of restaurants in Bombay. The idea is we're growing, we're moving forward, and we're expanding, and we need to evaluate our own company and raise some funds. So, being a chef and a restaurateur, we don't have any idea of this. So, trying to understand how it works, and maybe even if somebody else is doing it, but we need to understand how it's going to happen and what's going to happen.
The process, correct, sure.
Hi, I'm Subhash Saraf. I'm a practicing chartered accountant, and I'm looking forward for getting it for my clients. Those are in SMEs. They are having IPs, properties, and goodwill. So how to get to the end of it and get them the benefit maximum. So I'm looking forward.
Fine. Intangible part.
Intangible, at the same time, the manufacturing. There are family concerns with me. And over the last 30 years, whatever I've given them. But this is the time now with the globalization which is coming in. And the opportunities are there in the market. So how to encash that and give the benefit, maximum benefit to that. That's my
Sure.
Good morning, my name is Gyanesh Gautam. I'm from RSP Transmissions India Limited. And we as a company are looking for a lot of acquisition opportunities where I also am involved in valuation of these companies. So it was basically, I'm here just to get a better perspective of which kind of valuation model suits, how do we value a company, and that's.
You've been using any models as of now, sir?
Yes, we have a couple of models which we have used, but they again are customized, like leverage buyout models or something.
Fine, sure.
Good morning. My name is Prasanna Prusti. I work with RSB Transmissions India Limited. I'm the executive assistant to the chairman. I'm also a part of the M&A team of our company. And so far, my contributions in the M&A team in our company have been in terms of, credit market geography strategy for the company. Evaluating a potential company from this point of view and deciding on whether one should move further or making an analysis. But going forward, I would also like to have better, understanding about how to value a company financially. And we do have certain knowledge. Since I'm having worked in the M&A team, we do have certain knowledge about how it's being done. We probably will be sharpening the knowledge that we have and understand more about it. And maybe some new perspectives on valuation.
Sure.
My name is Sanjay Pillai. I am Senior Manager Corporate Finance for RSB Transmissions. In our company, we have a lot of other small companies, including like two subsidiaries. So I'm managing those part of companies. Plus, we have overseas companies. So primarily, since we are part of a M&A team, trying to understand what further we could do in terms of valuing company, and specifically when you were mentioning about financial statement analysis, how to understand MIS reports and get more detailing into it. Trying to understand more better.
Sure. As the colleague senior used the word, sharpening possibly. Sure. Fine. So if you settle down, can I have an introduction from? Yeah.
I am coming from Connectical Industries, Hiten Rahmari. I am the general manager finance and admin for that. We are actually 75 crore company. manufacturing in Delhi. We are into manufacturing of connectors, electrical connectors, which are used in control panels. We have around 30-35% of our sales and export sales in industry. We have representative office in China and Brazil. And it's a closely held company. It's a private limited company.
Any expectations from the course, sir? Anything that you're looking for?
So it's just upgradation of our academic materials.
Sure. Pleasure. So let's start. I'll tell you how I've structured it. It's a one-day workshop. I was sure that, my colleague was asking me, do I do it regularly? I do it once in 3 months. I am actually a practicing valuer. We run a firm which is solely into valuations and mergers and acquisitions. The idea of doing this 3-day workshop is that I kept in mind some colleagues who wanted to just understand how this perspective of valuation would happen. The way I would start is I'll introduce financial statements. Yes, I'll talk a bit on financial statement analysis, definitely. And then I'll go on to the DCF model of valuation. Right? I guessed, as some of you all will nod, discounted cash flow. Those who are not aware, believe me, it's simple logic. It's absolutely logic. Humble request, right, just to, right, in case I say something you're not understanding, please make me repeat. Okay, the idea is to simplify valuation process. When we go back today, you'll have a working model. But what goes into the model, I leave it to Mr. Vishwanath, I leave it to Mr. Saraf, I leave it to Mr. Sanjay. Right? You are the experts in your field. So I'll give you the broad framework. What should be the assumptions, Prasanna sir, that would go into it is somebody like you would come in from the business team. So the model is what I would be sharing with you all is a 2-stage growth model. But before I get there, right, let's talk about financial statements and have a good idea about financial statements, right? As always, the audience is slightly diverse, so I like to start from the base and then take you to the practicalities. So why do you have financial statements and what's the introduction? So I want to spend 5-10 minutes on that. Right? Am I getting the name right? Yes, Sanjay. Sanjay sir, why does any firm exist?
Why does any firm exist? I guess to make money, make
That's
profits.
it. As simple as that. I wanted to start with you. Somebody like Mr. Vishwanath, I'll ask some more questions a bit later. You're right, sir. That's the reason why you have the first statement in finance. Let's interact, colleagues. I look forward to these occasions. 12 years I was full-time faculty with SP Jain, Dubai, Singapore campuses. I really cherished that moment. As of now, I'm only associated with their family managed business because the business that I am in is taking a lot of time, the valuation part of it. Very keen to share it. Thank you for the start. Any business exists because it has to make money. I would say, right, with your permission, I'll just tweak it and say for profits. So the first statement in finance is the profit and loss statement, which indicates profitability. We have a statement in finance, which is the profit and loss statement, which simply indicates profitability. Vishwanath sir, I'd like to ask you. Right, as I said, right, I'll tweak the questions now that I know the audience. So why is it called profit and loss statement? At the end of it, Vishwanath sir, either you make a profit or you make a loss. It's a tough one. That's why it's a strategic one, not a tough one. Why is it called profit and loss statement? Because Mr. Sanjay would say either you make a profit or a loss. So technically, if you go by it, Mr. Ganesh would say profit or loss statement. Why? Open for everybody. Just thought I'll start with Vishwanath sir.
There might be certain areas where your P&L includes performance of all group of companies, for example. There might be certain group of companies which are profitable, and there might be certain other group of companies which are also loss-making. Put together, as an enterprise, what is your profitability?
Absolutely brilliant, sir. This is what we call as, Ganeshji, we call this as segmental reporting. My humble request to you all, those who are looking for financial statement, absolutely on target, right, is that when we start our consulting exercises, my humble request is please ask for segmental reporting. Current assignment I'm doing is with Wärtsilä, right? The first thing that we say is, you've got so multi-products. Can I have the break? I hope I'm simplifying it. Can I have the breakup? This breakup, sir, you would possibly do it location-wise. You decide, sir, for your industry. You are the expert for your industry. Saraf sir, possibly with an SAB would say, okay, for this SAB, I would say product-wise. Prasanna sir, you would possibly say, no, I don't want product-wise, I want region-wise. The reason is very, very simple. What is presented to us, right, or what the CFO presents is always a consolidated profit and loss statement. And financial statement analysis starts from there. When we ask for, I'll put all the jargons here so you can keep referring to it, right? Segmental reporting. This segments could be, right? This segment could be, no problem, sir. This segment could be in terms of products. This segment could be in terms of regions. This segment could be in terms of time periods. The strategist in the organization decides this, the analysis starts. My humble contribution, it's been about 17 odd years in the industry now. Humble odd contribution, and my observation is, I find typically when you look at a profit and loss statement, sir, I find that typically 65% of profits come from something like 17 to 20% of the products. Thank you for nodding. This can only come from experience. 65% of profits come from about 20% of the products. That basically means what moment you are given a consolidated statement, you would like to start getting into the breakups. Let's look at some very, very prominent examples. Wipro, not a client, but a very good example to study. Wipro is into so many segments. But if you say soaps, they are there. They are there in chemicals. They are there in bulbs, right? Absolutely, sir. But the main revenue comes from the IT division. Look at Reliance. You would see that they are in petrochemicals, but their main revenue is coming from oil and gas exploration. My humble request is, please ask for segmental reporting. It opens out. It just opens out. Then the strategic takes over, and the strategist comes back and says, this region, as of now, we are not doing very well, but we are sinking a lot of money. Is there potential? The answer starts coming. An example for segmental reporting. I want to give you a classic case. Somebody I really admire. Okay, the fact is, when I meet somebody, I feel that I'm learning something from that person. Right? The gentleman is Mr. Naik of Larsen & Toubro. Not a typical MBA like me. Right? Joined L&T. Right? As an engineering trainee. Did a couple of advanced management programs, as anybody would do. Moved up the ladder. Right? To where he is today, the chief of Larsen & Toubro. How did he use this entire simple business logic of financial statement analysis to grow at Larsen & Toubro? When the results of Larsen & Toubro were presented, so somewhere in the year of 2003-04, right, slightly prior to that, what happened then was Larsen & Toubro had actually made substantial profits, right, had made money in your terms, sir. The first thing that he said is, can I have the breakup? Can I simply have the breakup? And it was found that there was a cement division in Larsen & Toubro, which was giving a stat like this, was using up more than 20% of their capital. Thank you. Thank you. Absolutely. More than 20% of their capital, but contributing to less than 10% of their profits. The next question, and this is where valuation comes in, sir. This is where valuation is this. I'll give it to you. I'll give you the model. Today I'll give you the model. Beyond that, the idea is actually to tell you that you need absolute logic, business strategy to get in. The next question that came very logically is, from the respected senior, is, why do we have a cement division? What's the purpose of having a cement division? And the board was there. The board answered, you see, in 1990s and 80s, there was a lot of cement shortage in India. And all of you are fairly experienced, but in case there's somebody who missed this, right, at least I'm proud I don't belong to that generation of India, right. There was a license Raj in India, which was dismantled in 92, 93, right. So till 91, the government used to decide, right, what you would get into, and the government would give licenses. There was a perennial cement shortage in India. Larsen & Toubro decided that, okay, rather than going to the market and getting cement, we would rather have our cement for in-house consumption. And that's how they started the cement division. 90s, fairly for in-house consumption. The next question that came in with globalization, right, Mr. Naik just said that was 90s. Today we are in early 2000s. What is the purpose of having a cement